It's Ufulu Child here,
I'm Soul Expression.
and I'm Tensi. And
Welcome to another episode of MUVE Mondays.
yes, this is episode 7, and we're live once again. So, of course, MUVE Mondays is a wellness Q&A for anybody that has any wellness challenges or concerns. And this is just a time for us to point toward knowing a self-discovery, and not so much
To teach a lesson for you to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, to start off today, and thank you all for all your support. We're starting to get a lot more support for MUVE Mondays. I just wanted to go ahead and acknowledge you guys. Thank you. Although nobody necessarily asked us to do this, you guys provide a lot of the fuel for this train to keep moving. So I really appreciate it. We really appreciate you. And we love you from the bottom and all of that. So back to what I was going to say at first. There was a quote that we actually did another video on one day that I have a more positive outlook on nowadays, and that quote is, why assume that your mind knows what it's talking about?
Yeah.
And at first, when we made the video about that, we were discussing how the mind may come with a lot of noise, and you can choose not to listen to it, and just go about your business without giving into it and letting it sort of stress you out or depress you or make you anxious, something like that, where you keep doing things. And it's fine, whatever the mind comes up with. But now, like level 2 of understanding a quote like why trust that your mind knows what it's talking about, is it makes me think of the proper way, or the most beautiful way to reflect on what comes up through what we call our mind, and to reflect on what we call our mind, and to find out that it's not this constant thing that always shows up the same way, and shows up on its own, or meaning shows up without you. Mind never shows up with a power to deter you without you giving into it, and we'll get into that as we move on. You have anything to say about that?
That's kind of like, we were just watching a video, and one of the things I took away from that video that we were watching is that a salesman can never sell to somebody that doesn't buy. So it's kind of like that with the mind too, and any negative chatter or whatever that comes up. You have a little bit of leeway when it comes to that, and at the end of the day, there is a space that can be created, so as you don't buy in to the mind and the thoughts and all of the emotions and extra that comes with it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'd like to acknowledge about it is, when it comes to the mind and talking about how the mind can fool you, the mind can trick you into, like I said, believing in things that may seem to sway your mood and or just deter you from whatever you think you might want to do. The person, it that we pretend to believe the mind the most in front of, and play this game the most with, of I'm not okay, or some type of blame for my mind is just so crazy that my behavior looks like this, is ourself. And I thought of a quote earlier while I was meditating today that says, you can't lie to yourself, big S, but yourself, little s, can lie to you. Meaning, from the inside out, sometimes we get, waves of thoughts that are maybe connected to some traumas or some bad memories, or predictions about the future of what's going to happen when my money is so low, what's going to happen when my health is bad, what's going to happen, my tooth just fell out, whatever. I don't know, Jimmy hates me.
My arm just fell off. Oh no.
Yeah, so basically is we wake up, during those times where we're getting those waves of mind, of let's say negative mind activity, we're giving it all its weight. Any intensities that we give into all come from and stem from, first, our resistance and us telling ourselves something false about what it means to have these thoughts and feelings, and what it means for the future, and what it means for the past, and what it means for what type of person I am, that I'm even having these thoughts, or that I'm believing these thoughts, when it is not the real you that has these thoughts or believes these thoughts. They show up and pass like clouds in the sky. And maybe, do you want to simplify that a little for the people?
So, the mind will do what it does. And oftentimes when we have all of these thoughts and emotions that come about, it is coming from a space of the mind in its crazy way pointing to something for you to pick it up and either accept it as your own and claim that emotion or that thought as your own, or let it go. Mm-hmm. This is where the choice comes. When you're in the midst of the chaos of the mind, it can be hard to do this, especially at first. And in these moments, when you're right in the midst of the storm, something that is good to practice is just to begin to notice when a thought is coming up, and start to pause and question in the moment the validity of that thought.
Yeah. It's really, 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 really important to begin on our freedom seeker journey at some point, to begin to create some space between that perceives the thoughts and feelings that show up, and the thoughts and the feelings themselves. In other words, to not identify with that's a part of, no, not even a part of, that is me being affected by these thoughts and feelings. Because in truth, it is only the idea you have of yourself currently that is being affected by these thoughts and feelings. It is not you. It has never been you. And I can prove that by saying you are the one that sees them come, watches them for their duration, and sees them go. And if it were you, when it went, you would also go. But it goes. I mean, even in my...
Even like intense pain.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, in my most painful moments, you can be distracted from the pain, and it's not there for periods of time, whether you might be talking to somebody, or sometimes in the hospital they give you a TV to watch or a video game to play in the children's hospital. And when you're thinking about whatever you're in there for, you feel real intense. You might feel real intense feelings associated with whatever is hurt or sickness or whatever. And then you're on the phone, and for 20 minutes, 30 minutes straight, it's just totally not there. And then something reminds you, and then, and then you forget, and then it's just, make this chest move. And then they leave, and, nurse, so.
And there's I think that there's a part, at least with me, whenever I'm in moments of pain, or just in intense emotions, that seemed to weigh me down. Whenever those moments come, there's always like something within that moment that is this really how it is? Like there's a moment of clarity in the muddiness. and even if I'm like crying and I'm just like, oh, what is life? At the same time, there's like a part of me just like in the back, just like in the back of my mind or somewhere that's like, it's all good, bruh. Like no matter what's happening.
Yeah, like is it really that bad? Is it really that bad? You know, God, they really ticked me off when they said this on TV. Okay, but is it really that bad to you right now? Now we gotta, when we're being this honest, we leave our future predictions to the side. We leave our associations about our associations with the past on the side. We leave our expectations for what's going to come in the future, like I said at first, to the side. Our thoughts about who we want to be and all of that in the present, we leave that to the side. Our idea of the present to the side. But the present moment, is it really that bad to me right now? This is the type of work that you might hear some spiritual teachers talk about. There's nothing to forgive, no matter what happens. And sometimes they go very almost extreme, I can say, with their examples of horrible things that have happened from human to animal, from human to human, where and they still say, but there's nothing to forgive. Even disharmonies are a part of the greater harmony. This type of observing the self in a way that you're not bringing your expectations and predictions into the mix is what leads to revelations that are that powerful. Did you want to add to that at all?
I don't have much to say beyond that. With this whole thing of finding a space of a rock to hold on to in a storm, or of fulfillment and happiness, joy, freedom. It's all rooted in the same thing, and that's really that process of examining yourself and really asking those questions and evaluating what really is there. Why am I feeling this? What is this? Show yourself. What is this emotion? Who is affected by this emotion? Let me see.
Can that which is affected be identified? Is it an object? Does it have a size? Does it have a shape?
This process of delving in and really looking and really looking to see exactly what, who, when, where, what, huh? and all of this is the key of seeing and experiencing who you really are and your own freedom, your own peace, defining it for yourself outside of what you're told.
Yeah, and not imagining or creating a beautiful picture. This is not a mental technique. It's simply looking and being open to whatever the answer is.
And this is not a practice either. It's not something like you wake up every morning or in the evenings you do it and you just, okay, so at 7 a.m. and p.m. I'm going to look. It's not planned like look. That. It's look. Oh, binoculars, got him. No. It's more in the moment, because as you continue to do something like this, or as it happens, you begin to see that things aren't as concrete as they once seemed. Emotions, thoughts, circumstances aren't as concrete as they once seemed. And there's also a beauty in letting things go, like letting letting it go like water rolling down a duck's back. It's like what my mom would say, my grandma. And this detachment, or this you're not so strongly influenced by every little thing.
Invested.
Yeah.
You're not as invested in the nuances of where your attention may stray to. You notice, okay, I see a feeling of pain, or I see a feeling of discomfort of any kind, and I also notice that my attention has been sort of driven there, has been tricked into going there and investing some of my energy into it. You have the power to not only drop those happenings, drop what's happening over there, but you also can start to see for yourself experientially the truth, which is, in relation to this, that you watch the feelings and emotions and memories show up, and therefore you are greater than them. You watch your attention stray here, stray there, stay put where you need it. You watch your attention move, therefore you are greater than your powers of attention. You watch the levels of intensity and the levels of calm happen and fluctuate, and therefore you are greater than that. You watch time itself move. You watch what we call time. You watch events happen first, second, third, and connect them, and you have this power. Therefore, you are greater than time itself. And all of these things it's beyond the words. It's beyond the word. It's not about agreeing, disagreeing. It's simply looking, and 100% of the people that do this type of looking sincerely come to the same conclusion. These type of thought-provoking looking exercises, I can say, happen across cultures, across religious backgrounds, across racial backgrounds, across every background, because they're not personal. And a background can only be assigned to an idea of yourself. It can't be really assigned to that which watches everything.
And touching on that idea of yourself, like, for example, somebody could say, oh yeah, so like when they're filling out a job application, they can check off that they're a black female looking for an accounting job or something, and a ton of other things about their credentials and background. And yet when someone is talking about you, and you could be in the same vicinity, and they say something that you may have listed as a piece of who you are, if they just highlight that one piece, oh yeah, she's just a black woman, or she's just a woman, or whatever,
then you get
a little offended. Yeah. It's like, that's not all I am. I'm more. I also do this. I also do this. I'm not just my career. I'm not just... So, with that being said...
Very true.
They're all pieces of the identity. And when even, like, ourselves right now, 10 years ago, we were probably completely different people. And if some of our close friends that know us now that didn't know us back then, they probably would be like, oh, that was you? That was you back then? Wow. Our
little cousins and our children do it all the time.
You're so different. Oh my gosh.
Can you remember the first time you saw a younger picture of a teacher that you had growing up? Or maybe a past, like somebody in a church family, or a mosque family, or a celebrity,
or somebody.
Yeah, even the idea that we have of a celebrity that we might follow for a long time.
Like,
we know their birthday, we know everything about the celebrity pretty much without being able to know them personally, and then they start telling their backstory, or putting they have an interview with somebody and they put the nuance into the backstory, and it's like, You had those thoughts about that? I thought you probably would have reacted like this. You know, you're my superhero and this and that.
So we're constantly changing.
Yeah.
And that idea of ourselves, even if right now we say, oh yeah, I'm such and such and such and such. That's not all.
Give some such and such.
Oh, I'm well, I already gave some examples.
Okay.
If we go back to those examples,
I'm this tall.
and bring that back up.
I used to fight a lot or whatever. So this is why I have the habits that I have, and all of it's nothing.
It's incomplete. It's not the whole. It's not the whole picture, and so we're looking for that piece to fill in that hole. It's like, oh, that's not all I am. What else am I? And that's the beginning of the true search, the true knowing, is figuring out what that is when nothing else quite fits the mold. Your identity that people think you are. Everyone, I mean, you have many roles: mother, father, sister, employee, whatever, business owner, and many hats that you put on throughout a day. And each hat is not you in of itself. So when all those hats are stripped away, when your identity is stripped away, what is left?
Yeah,
you got to figure that out.
I was gonna say, that when you said the beginning of the search is, well, what else am I? And I was gonna add and say, you know, what's funny about that is that's the question that comes up, but that's sort of an objective question, whereas an objective question usually needs an objective answer. But we can ask an objective question about the subject of the vital force that drives us all, and an objective answer can never be given. And so you have to strip away from, instead of saying, well, what else am I, like, what else adds to this? We strip away from to find the pure,
the layers,
the pure truth, the pure essence of how we are, who we are, and what we are.
It's like those wooden Russian dolls where they're big, and at first you take off the
name?
top shell.
I forget.
I don't know what they're.
If anybody knows the name, go ahead and type it in the comments.
Yeah, the Russian dolls that. Yeah. There's like the big one, and then there's a smaller one, and then you keep peeling back until it's like a little one. It's like, what is that? What is that little one? Who are you when all the layers are peeled back? And even when you take that little mini doll and set it aside, what is left?
Yeah, it's crazy because, I mean, even scientifically and metaphysically, this is totally 100% backed up information that goes beyond, like I said, the words and the concepts we're presenting. The concepts support the truth, but the truth can only be discovered one at a time, individual by individual, and it can be pointed to by the masses, but it can only be discovered by the one. Nobody can sell you unless you reach into your pocket and give the money. So unless you're buying, no one's selling. And so, yeah, man. Metaphysically. So basically, we are made up physically of a bunch of molecules and atoms and things that are mostly filled up with empty space. Nowhere in that empty space has anyone ever said, here's the consciousness. Here's the thing. I gave an example a couple episodes ago of how do you make your hand open and close. Like, we know that, you know, electromagnetic signals and flows happen, and muscles tense up and contract and stuff like that one by one. But how do you make this happen? And put that in words. And it can't be done. Aren't you human? You just do it. You just do it. and things like that. So nobody can point out this consciousness, yet it's so simply who we are. It's the fundamental seeing of everything that goes on through this body and through this mind and through this seeing that we are able to do, and this sensing that we are able to do. And so And even, all of the five senses can be really boiled down to one sense, which is feeling. Because you don't necessarily see with your eyes or smell with your nose or hear with your ears. When you see with the eyes, that is really just the light is touching a whole, touching your eyes, and then those eyes, the how the light touches it, the frequency in which it touches it, in very specific points, send signals to the little retinas and cones and the brain, to the back of the brain. And there's no light in the back of the brain where there's a screen that says this is what came in from the outside. It's an interpretation from the brain, so you don't see with your eyes. And there's a little story of one of the gurus we like to listen to. His guru, when he was getting enlightened by when he was first meeting his guru, he was already a devotee of the Hindu god Krishna. I think that's the Hindu, out of India. And so he said he often plays with God. And when he met him for the second time, when he met his teacher for the second time, he said, "What were you doing?" And he said, "Well, I was over on the mountain, I was playing with God." And he said, "Can you produce this God for me now?" And he looked and he said, "No, not right now." And he said, "Then what you were playing with was only a vision of God." And he asked him, "What good is a God that comes and goes?" And further that conversation, he said, and then I'll shut up. He said, "It is not you that sees God. God is the only seer. God is the only one that sees." And I'll shut up. You want to add? You want to? Did that bring up anything?
You just cliffhanger.
Well, that's it's. He didn't need to respond, because words like that are so much beyond the words that sometimes you just have to sit. And so I believe actually that the conversation very shortly came to an end, and that's how he became a student of Ramana. And so
when you said you just have to sit, that called to me in terms of wellness. People think that they have to do all of these different practices and techniques all of the time, and they may never end up really sitting with themselves, really finding stillness, and instead distracting themselves with all these other things. And while they may grant physical wellness for a duration of time, there will be something that isn't quite quenched with practices and techniques, like a fulfillment, and you'll just keep looking and searching until you come to the space of yourself, coming to self, finding your own stillness, and seeing who you really are in that stillness, in that silence, and then taking that and adopting it into your life, your dynamic, moving life, as you go about your day, implementing that knowing of yourself, and in that way, with that base, that foundation, if you do choose to do any practices like fasting or Kemetic yoga, other styles of yoga, meditation, plant-based eating, or eating raw, etc., things like that, then they're not empty. It's like you're meeting every corner of wellness outside of just a couple, or outside of just the physical, outside of just the mental. You're reaching deeper, and this is like it's not an instant thing necessarily, but it is a lasting thing. And it's something that only you can do. So, while a lot of people like to work out as like workout buddies and things like that, or begin things together in groups, the real knowing, the real experience is only the one that happens inside of yourself. And all healing, all wellness, all anything related to that is rooted from the inside out. And everyone around you, they, in terms of a workout buddy or whatever, they'll be there as support, but do not lean on them with all of your weight. You have to build up your own legs to stand on your own, so that if that falls away, if that relationship falls away, or if you're not able to work out with them, that person anymore, you're still able to continue in your own truth. Yeah.
And it's also, important to know that sometimes even the mastery of certain practices will not give you the freedom that you sought when you started this practice. Sometimes we start something, especially like a form of yoga, and we get so caught up in the temporary high it may provide in class that we pursue it as a career or something like that, and we get to the point where we can teach the teachers of the teachers, and we're really good at the postures, we're really good at the look and and you can astral project to Mars in your meditations and all of that, and then during the regular waking hours of the day when you're just getting stuff done, you still have this sitting depression or anxiety or trauma-based identity, where you're identifying with something that is hurt, not complete, needing a saving of some kind, needing a healing. That's another thing. We can get addicted to healing actually quite easily. Some recent studies have put up. So there's a middle ground, because it's going to take a little striving, a little persistence in learning how to observe without letting the mind do all this interpretation and investment in expectations and trying to be right or predict, or basically look at the world in a way that I could do this better than Mr. God, Mrs. God. I can do this thing if it were left up to me. If life just went my way, I swear everyone would just be happy and I would be fine. And it's funny because, like I said, everyone that really starts to inquire into their self and their own habits and feelings and look at with a very still pair of eyes and a very sober pair of eyes, just looking. And I don't mean sober in terms of in drug influence.
I think you just mean objective.
Objective, yeah. I was trying to see if it was a word, but yeah, objectively, really looking. Everyone comes to the conclusion, I am already free. But there are some blockages in the beginning stages that may make it seem like that's not what I'm going to come across if I look, because this and that. But that at the end of the day, that just means you haven't sincerely looked yet. Because let's do it right now.
There's fear associated with it sometimes too, of looking.
Okay. Yeah. You can expand on that if you want. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also I was thinking that in terms of God and things like that, it's not certain name or not, there's no external thing really, power beyond you. It's just a knowing that there is no separation between your true self and all that you perceive.
And what we call God, exactly.
Yeah.
All three things are pointing to something that is not an object that you can say, oh, there it is. I found the God, or I found the self, or I found the everything that is, or I found the nothing that encompasses everything that is. It's all the same non-something. All the same something nothingness. If you are, we're getting some little viewer activity. Hey, how you guys doing? I hope you guys saw the last at least couple minutes. If you want to go ahead and comment your name, where you from, that'd be real cool. It's episode 7 of MUVE Mondays, and what we were getting ready to get into is a way to do some inquiry into the true self. And so if you'll follow us, you start off by noticing how the senses operate when they don't have the manager. The manager meaning you don't necessarily want to be trying to control your senses. You just may ask yourself, okay, what am I seeing? What's around me? What colors, what shapes? Notice that nothing that has a shape comes without color. Nothing that has color comes without shape. Nothing that has definition comes without some sort of distance from something next to it. Just what am I seeing? Very, very objectively, without naming anything. It's all the same. It's all in the same seeing. So what is that? What is that seeing going on? And then what am I hearing? What sounds, from the inside sounds in the imagination to the outside sounds? Maybe some birds are happening outside, maybe some rain. What am I hearing? What sounds are present? And notice that these sounds come from nothing and go back into nothing when they're done. They come from nothing, they go into nothing. What am I smelling? You don't have to, you don't go fishing. You don't try to manage, like I said, your senses. Just what am I smelling? What smells are around? And then you might move back even more to a more subtle space of what are all the feelings that are happening. You feel yourself breathing without regulating the speed, the velocity or the intensity of the breath. Just watch. No need to push air, pull air any harder. No need to, if you're uncomfortable, then moving into a more comfortable position should happen very naturally without any thought or any perceived effort. You just, if need be, just what am I feeling right now? Because sometimes we ignore how we feel, even when we sit down. And then we go to get up and, oh, my back. So just what am I feeling? And if you must, go ahead and get into a more comfortable, very naturally. And in this state, if cough comes up, if you want to, if something happens like that, let it happen. Watch it happen. It'll come from nothing. It'll go back into nothing on its own accord. There's no need to control it. There's no need to control anything here. And from here, from paying attention to what am I seeing, all the senses working, is the one that perceives all of this. Is that one perceivable? Thoughts may show up, imaginations may show up, visualizations may show up, but we're not investing into any of them. We're not sending the mind with any of them. And even with this question, the one that is perceiving all of these comings and goings, is this one perceivable? Even this question doesn't need to be given to the mind. Just look. And sometimes when the mind isn't given any task, it looks desperately for something to do. And so I'm telling you that the mind should do nothing, but don't let your mind try to do nothing. Just look. If that starts to happen, you stay where you are and just watch that happen. Just watch, just look. And now, in this space, you can begin to objectively see that there is no time in the now. There's no next. There's no last before this one. And so this seeing, this perceiving, this pure awareness cannot fade anywhere. It cannot go. If you were sitting with your eyes closed and someone picked you up, picked your body up and moved you to another country and then sat you down, all of the moving, and when you opened your eyes, you would be in another physical location, but the knowing presence of being, the knowing of I am, would still be here, right here. There are no anxieties here because time does not move. It is always now. It is eternally now. Even scars can only be analyzed in the now. You decide whether or not they have power in the now. Tag.
It's always good to take moments like this to just sit and you don't actually have to be sitting, but wherever you are, you're always rooted in here. So you could be running or at work, you could be climbing a mountain, you could be doing whatever, but you're always centered and you're always home wherever you are. When you're in these spaces, whatever comes up, you let it go. And any expectations that you have while you're in this space, you let that pass as well. And you take these moments to really look. Whatever questions come up, assess, listen, and move from that. It's the root of wellness is in a way strengthening your connection with yourself. And in doing that, you're strengthening your intuition. You know what is best for you.
The root of wellness. We should title this that. I like that.
Word.
Episode 7, the root of wellness.
The root of wellness begins with you. So, and it's this process of allowing of yourself to be fully, to be free in its truest sense. This is the process of freeing yourself. And it will always begin with you. And you may find that at the end of the process, you're not the same as you were when you began the process.
A freedom seeker never asks for permission. Because like I said, you decide whether or not the thoughts and feelings that appear out of nowhere, are here for a duration, and go back into nowhere, have any power in the now. You interpret what things mean to you. Anything, a car goes down the street and you've never seen that car before, you determine what that means to you. A car goes down the street and you know exactly where they're going because they're your next door neighbor. You determine what that means to you. You didn't consciously, piece by piece, put this world here, but without you, this world would not be here as far as you're concerned. And so you have the you own attention, you own intention, from a one person at a time standpoint. And it's funny, I used the word person so a little incorrectly there, but hopefully you get what I'm talking about. Is you have the keys to the house of your attention and intention and retention even. Although we can't really trust retention as much as we can our intuition and things like that, because learning is great and practicing and muscle memory and memory altogether is very useful and practical, but we can't predict the future. It's just not how life works. And so it's not anywhere as useful as we tend to think it is. But all that happens is also only happening through grace. And so there's no shaming of any retention and learning that has ever happened at the same time. All is well, all is very good. But just, in terms of how you view it from your own standpoint, sometimes we feel we're not learning fast enough, or we're not learning how to be good to ourselves fast enough, and therefore, I'm still so bad to myself, or if I don't have the right practice or the right diet or wear the right clothing or have the right look aesthetically, or have the right look in terms of like I don't trim this and so I don't have the right look type of thing. All of that, you have the power to, if those thoughts and feelings show up, distance, observe objectively. Who are they talking to? See for yourself that you can't find that one that they're talking to. It doesn't exist. And begin to let them just go back into nothing without any investment of your own through time, and really find a genuine kindness start to blossom from the inside out. A genuine compassion for even your own inner space, and of course, what we think is other, because like I said, you can't lie to yourself. So if you know that anything that comes to you, whether it's from outside of your body or from the inside, and it gets a little loud and intense in our inner space, if you know that that is yourself just coming to you in different forms and it will pass, there's no real call to resist. Everything sort of beautifully gets accepted, if I may be so predictive. I don't know, it's just a beautiful acceptance of life overall.
Everything just is. Challenges come, things we label as being beautiful come as well, and we just keep going in our own perspective journeys, our own lives, and keep learning about ourselves and more fully experiencing this thing called life. Yeah. If anybody has any wellness concerns, I know that we're coming up on, let's see, 50 minutes.
Oh man.
So for those that weren't able to catch these moments live and you have any wellness questions, they are not only physical, they're also emotional, mental, spiritual, related to relationships, career, any aspect of life. Any wellness questions, feel free to post them down in the comments, or message us, and we'll be sure to follow up with you, and at the very least address them on our next episode. So, yeah.
All right. So, once again, if there's we are Ufulu Child. Ufulu means freedom, and we are freedom seekers. And if no one has anything to add, then I would like to say that thank you for watching all the way to the end. There's a couple ways to get in contact with us. One is to join the movement. There will be a link in the description and in the comments for that. So you want to definitely join the movement so you can get updates on what Ufulu Child has coming up and what we're doing in whatever current moment. So
the VIP list. Oh snap! Came in late again, but peace,
Nelly. What's happening? It's okay.
Well, I mean, if you have a question, you can go ahead and let us know. You're always welcome. Let us know. Yeah.
We're about 50 minutes in, but hey, it's fine. It's fine. What's up?
It's all good. We'll post the replay too. But yeah, I was just saying that in terms of if you wanted email updates about what we're doing in terms of artistry and wellness, or just like some inspiration in your inbox, you can join the VIP list. That is ufuluchild.com/VIP, and
we'll link to that in the comments as well.
Absolutely, we'll put the link in the comments. And as far as the movement is actually our Patreon page, and it's rooted in our campaign of moving to unite the virtue in everybody. And so we're moving. And we have exclusive discounts and offerings and things on that platform as well. In terms of our merch day, Ufulu store, services, products, whatever. And then also I wanted to mention our Kemetic EIO masterclass that we have coming up in August. We're right now accepting in people to enroll into it for free. And we'll put the link to that in the comments as well. Or in the description for the YouTube replay.
Yeah, and in episode 5, I believe, we gave a pretty full synopsis summary of
yeah, we put the whole rundown on the experience of it in terms of a 360 self-transformation
360 lasting self-transformation. So,
and it's an online experience, so it's not just limited to people in Austin.
Yeah,
it's for everybody.
Yay! So
oh, yay! Beautiful art in the background.
So I don't know what the chat was about. I'll rewatch though. Beautiful art in the background. Cheer! Soul expression. Solar visuals. You know what I'm saying?
Word. This one's actually
add yourself. Add yourself. Yes. So thank you. This is called I Am Imperfectly Inspiraled. And as you can see, it's got a whole lot of circles on it, but it also has a whole bunch of yin yang, and so it's pretty much all about balance. And it's in between 2 flower of life symbols that that is also on purpose, and just in how it's laid out here at the Cribbo for other reasons. I mean, you know, sacred geometry it's pretty cool. One of the yoga videos. Hey.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome! Yay! Was it on? I'm guessing it was on the Yoga Green Book platform, yogagreenbook.com. Boop 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 boop. Let me know what you thought of it in terms of like the actual flow, etc. I'm definitely open to feedback on the yoga videos. I'm glad you thought it was informative. Yay!
Yeah.
I purchased a spiral kit. What is a spiral kit?
Yeah, what's that? We don't know what that is.
Spiral kit. Is that like, does it have a compass?
Oh, yeah, for art. I think I know what you're talking about. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Spiral kits are dope. I do mine with the compass. You know what I'm saying? That's how I get my perfect circles going. And I started out actually taking things like little caps and or tape, rolls of tape, and just using the outside rim of something else that's a perfect circle to do it. I think that's how we made these, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Is with roll of tape.
Yeah.
So
these were the first.
yeah. This is where we got started.
And then it just
in April 2017. So yeah. Actually, I'll go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about how I got started in this episode. No mingle or soul. Sorry, not which name I should say. Shared it to this.
So good.
It's funny. My name. So my name is Domingo, and short for Domingo is Mingo, Mingo, and then Soul is the artist name. Just wanted to.
You make
to
it
say
seem
that.
like Domingo's your first name, but it's not. But
So what? So yeah. So yeah, that's where Mingo comes from, which is what she was talking about. So yeah, Mingo is the spell because it says Mingo.
Word. You know, autocorrect. It's all good. Word.
So yeah, but I was going to say, starting to figure the kit would be easiest. No doubt. Let me know how it goes and stuff. I'm still thinking about how what, like, if I would do a live sacred geometry session, like how I would set up like the camera and the whatnots and do all the stuff. But I am seriously considering what you said. Soul. I rather soul. SOL. Pronounced either Saul or soul. It was something you said. I don't know what the chat was about. I wanted to say that when we do our Move Mondays, especially when we do it live on Facebook, and we get to the end of the episode, it's always free flow. So any questions you have or any comments you have that you might want us to respond to in the mode of, you're seeking something that you might want a different perspective on that can push you to what you want to discover. you just go ahead and comment that, no matter what we're talking about. And we're pretty open people, so everybody deserves to get their comment answered. And although if this ends up getting super duper popular in the future, we might have to miss some questions that come up. We'll come up with the proper systems that where we're talking about something that may kill a lot of questions at one time and stuff like that. So this is actually an episode we will call The Root of Wellness, and it was dealing more with inquiring into the self. So it says, okay, no problem. Yes, do a video on that. Yeah, the art, no doubt. Once I got the particulars on how I'm gonna do that, it shall go down. I might do the Doppler effect again or something, because that's cool to watch.
Word.
So we are Ufulu Child. Let's go ahead and close him out with the, unless you have anything more to add, with the Freedom Seeker Manifesto. Repeat after us. I create my own well-being.
I define my own destiny.
I live for freedom.
I am free to be.
That makes us freedom seekers. And that makes you a freedom seeker.
We love you.
We'll see you guys next Monday. Peace. Shout out Nelly Maat. Peace.
Get up, everybody.